When the night falls, when the shadows become dark and black, the silent pall of evil settles upon the earth. Who dares to search? Who dares to see what walks in the night? If you dare, welcome to the nightmare of Dr. Gratu Orloff. So, once again, it's Friday. It's possibly August 19th, 2022, in the year of our Lord. And you're tuned into the Gratu Orloff Show, where we talk about comic books and toys and all kinds of things that your mother threw away when you were a child. So, we move on. We were looking at Silver Age comics the other day, and that was turn this music down a bit because it's we're listening to 1968 radio from Los Angeles KHJ, the real Don Steele. Shit. So I think we were just about to look at a Marvel comic called Chilly when the power ran out. Possibly on Wednesday. So what have you guys been up to? Plugging in the phone so it has more electricity. Let's make sure we have enough sound. Let's see, is everything adjusted properly? It would appear so. Okay. So, once again, comic books. So last time I was complaining about Netflix and its propaganda, but I've watched more episodes of that same show, and we're already, I think, on the 10th episode, and it's still more of the same propaganda, but oh well. We keep watching it, they'll keep making it, right? So, let's take a look. What we got? Oh, chili. Chili. Oh, yes. Millie's red-headed rival. Chili, number 1. Marvelous facsimile of an Archie comic coming to you from Marvel, the House of Ideas. So here's Chili number 4. Now, next, I have Conan the Barbarian number 6, and yes, I know that the common thought is with Conan the Barbarian number 1, the Silver Age was over and it was now the Bronze Age. But the way I work it, the Bronze Age begins when the corner box goes away and the Marvel Comics group strip goes across the top. That's, to me, when and it makes it very easy to categorize your comics if you separate them. A few years ago, I made the decision to start separating my Silver Age from Bronze Age and up. I probably should have kept the silver and bronze together, and any other crap that comes after the Bronze Age I should have kept in separate boxes. That would have made more sense, because by separating the silver from the bronze, that's insulting the Bronze Age, and the Bronze Age should not be insulted. But what happened after the Bronze Age, I don't know. Okay. Was that out of order? What the fucking hell? Yes, it was. There was a Conan, and then I showed you another Chili. That was Chili number 10. Okay, so anyway, let's get these in order. It's a good thing I'm going through them. Yeah, so we had Conan the Barbarian number 6, Devil Wings over Shadazar. Followed by number 7, In the Quills of the Man Serpent. Then I have 9, The Garden of Fear. Okay. Creatures on the Loose. What I'm listening to right now in the other room is right off of YouTube. If you just type in KHJ, you'll find a YouTube channel that has old air checks of radio broadcasts from the past. So I was listening to one yesterday from 1968, and Planet of the Apes commercial came on. You know, that it's playing at the big theater in Los Angeles. That was pretty neat. So all the commercials, all the jingles, everything is there. They don't cut out the music. Here's Creatures on the Loose. Moomba is here. Moomba is here. Now Moomba is going to be appointed to an important position in Biden's White House soon. Look, you can get your Marvel Mania stationery here. Moomba. The Unbelievable Menace of Moomba. Creatures on the Loose, ladies and gentlemen, number 11. Creatures on the Loose. One of those great titles. So, and look, another copy of Creatures on the Loose. I'm breening myself. If you ever watch the Four Color Fossils, people will show comics, and then Eric Breen is one of the guys that's always there, and he'll immediately pull out a copy of the same comic because he magically has everything at his fingertips. I'm explaining that inside joke in case you are foolish enough not to watch the Four Color Fossils show every Wednesday night at 7 on the Graphic Man YouTube channel in color. 7 o'clock Central, that is. Here's Creatures on the Loose, number 12. I was captured by Corilla. See, that's like a killer gorilla. Get it? Corilla. All right. Well, that's the end of that box. So let's go get another box. And this one is Silver Age Comics Batman to Creatures on the Loose. If you want to see the Silver Age Batman comics, you have to go back to the last episode. Having said that, we're moving forward. So yeah, it is what it is. We're going to build back better in this new liberal order. And the climate change is terrible. It's cloudy today. The climate changed. It's unbelievable. Since yesterday, it was more sunny yesterday. I can't believe this climate change. But in its existential threat to our democracy, these clouds today, unbelievable. Existential, man. All Putin's fault. Yeah. Well, latest news, they're saying that there's some nuclear power plant that the Russians have taken over, and the Ukrainians are shooting missiles at it. And they're saying, well, you know, this could create a possible problem. Maybe they should not shoot shoot at a nuclear power plant. But those missiles were paid for with your money. Oh, well, that's wonderful. Something to look forward to. At least I've seen that reported in some news sources. Some news sources are completely ignoring it. That's if you watch the news daily. It's so existential. Everything's existential, man. Everything's an existential threat. Man. You ever watch The Hypnotic Eye, ladies and gentlemen? Not the movie from the 50s, which is great. It was a public access show from Dallas in the 90s that Joe Riley produced. he based it on a magazine I used to do called The Sophisticate. He said, I want to do a video version of your magazine. I said, fine. So he created this great show. I helped out with a lot of the episodes, especially episode 2. Episode 2, I provided all the footage and told him where to put it and everything. But show's great. But there was a little marionette in the show, Donny Osmond. This is him. If you've ever seen that show, here he is. He's when I got him, he was not on his strings. There was also also a Marie Osmond puppet, but Joe strung him up, but since then, as he's tangled, and I can't untangle him for the life of me. And Joe Riley unfortunately passed away a good 15 years ago, so maybe he could help me with that. But anyway, if you ever watch The Hypnotic Eye, I was the voice of Donny Osmond. And hey, we're gonna have fun today, guys, on the Grot Orloff show. Yeah, you can see The Hypnotic Eye on several channels on Roku, broadcasted, since I guess they figure it's public domain. But no one can put it up on YouTube because they block it for copyright reasons, because I guess there was music and stuff that we used. But, it was public access. No one cared about that stuff back then. Before the internet, before the dark times. All right, so I guess that moves us to Daredevil, which I have like I said, I've got a shitty collection, and I'll say that, and then everyone will say, no, you've got a great collection. No, not compared to most of these people on YouTube, trust me. Because I don't even have anything until Daredevil 25, which is cool. I'm not knocking it, but everybody else, here's 2 copies of Daredevil number 1. Daredevil used to be a comic that was easy to collect. Some comics are easier than others to get. This has got some damage because, but that's before. I don't know. Before the Frank Miller era, Daredevil kind of became a bigger character. So that's 25, 27. Now there's all those speculators out there. 35. I was so bored last night I was watching Comic Tom 101. Daredevil 39. All my favorite comic book people have not put shows out lately. It's 39. Here's Daredevil number 40. When a comic store opened near me in the summer of '77, and then I had access to back issues of comics. Daredevil was something I could afford, and I could afford some early X-Men and things like that. But when they got him in, 25. Then they changed the logo. With 44, I didn't like this logo as much. This is the logo. Trade dress is not just this. Trade dress, it would be that, and the whole package, how it looks. '52, the Night of the Panther. Someone trying to do a Jim Steranko looking cover. And of course she'll probably tell me that was a Jim Steranko cover. I don't think it is, but it's obviously someone trying to do that. Here's Daredevil 53. In this She-Hulk show that started yesterday, when Daredevil appears, he's going to have more of a red and yellow outfit from what everyone's saying. So I watched that, and of course, she's far more intelligent and stronger than the Hulk, and able to do everything better than him. And, which is the same as every Disney movie that we've seen. And because from what I understand, the comic books, Doctor Strange is now Clea, I guess. And Daredevil is no longer Daredevil. It's really Elektra dressed up as Daredevil. I don't know what they're doing. Everybody is... Iron Man is now a teenage girl. I don't know. I'm probably wrong. But... yeah, they keep trying to quash masculinity in our culture so that the populace will be weak and more easily conquered by the Chinese. And then you get these crazy people like Andrew Tate popping up because you try to quash down masculinity, and then some crazy person will pop up, a masculinity messiah, and say, follow me and be a pimp and masculine and make money and have all these sports cars. I don't know if you've encountered Andrew Tate. If he hasn't popped up in your feed on YouTube, he's quite an interesting character, quite an interesting sign of our times. This cover always kind of trips me out, man, sometimes, because I'll look at it and I'll think there's a tear. There's like a part missing at the bottom. It looks like a tear, but in reality, no, you're just looking down at some water. The reflection is on some water, but first it looks like there's some damage. All right, here's Daredevil 56. Now that's a little swipe there. This guy here, if you ever look up a movie called The Mask, it was I believe a 3D horror movie from the 50s. That's right from that movie, that head. I've unmasked you at last, but it can't be. It can't. Daredevil is Matt Murdock. I understand they make Karen Page a junkie and a porn, and she's in porn films now in the comic book. They may have done that back several decades ago. That's why I don't read the shit now. Fuck it. But I'll read these old comics, because to me, Karen Page will always not be that. Daredevil 62. See, they talk about Daredevil is always such a dark... He wasn't always a super dark character. That's the Frank Miller era that's reflected in that ultra dark Netflix TV show. And the show was good. It took the violence farther than it should have been taken, but I'm sure the Disney Channel will ruin it completely. One thing about that Daredevil TV show is, okay, Matt Murdock is a lawyer. He's constantly unshaven. Like, Paul Joseph Watson. He's constantly got a half beard, like he didn't shave for several days. And he's going into court that way and everything. He's thinking, well, he's blind. How's he going to shave well? But anyway. Point is, what part of Daredevil's face is exposed? It's that part of his face. So if he's going to go out as Daredevil, then everyone's going to recognize that unshaven part of his face. Daredevil 67. There's That's So Good, that has to be Marie Severin. 68, that has to be a Marie Severin cover. I love the art. Yeah, here's 74. That also looks like a Marie Severin cover. Sometimes I'm wrong and it's a John Severin cover. It's amazing how genetic their talent is. The brother and sister, sometimes their art is very similar. Daredevil 75. Here's 77. Maybe this is a key issue to all those key issue idiots because it has Submariner and Spider-Man in it. Here's 78. When did they switch to 15 cents? They've been 15 cents for a while, haven't they? '53, they were still 12 cents. Then they switched to 15 cents. Somewhere between that and they either went to 15 cents with 54 or 55 because I don't have 54. So anyway, with 67, they go to 15 cents. And with 80, it says still 15 cents. So it's about to go to 20 cents, and when it goes to 20 cents, that's when I cut off the Daredevils in this box, and then my Daredevil run picks up in the Bronze Age boxes. Here's Daredevil Special Number 1. Not a single reprint, it promises. Okay. Here's Daredevil Special Number 2 with a beautiful purple cover. Here's DC Special Number 2. Top teen favorites in a hippie happy holiday happening. Alone at last. So we have DC now doing Archie imitations. Although this is not does not look as much like Archie comics as the Marvel's Chili did, mainly because Marvel's Chili was done by one of the main Archie artists. This is reprints of Leave It to Binky. Which is odd that they don't put Leave It to Binky on the cover. Well, it has other characters like Buzzy. And Harvey. It's a bunch of teenage characters from DC that had been forgotten that they brought back to fill this hippie happy holiday happening, man. Hippie hoppity. Let's see. 2. Yes. What do we have now? Let's move old Donnie out of the way. If any of you know how to get this shit untangled, if you're one of those idiots that like to do Rubik's Cubes or something, I could never understand that. But that it might be that you're a magical person that can untangle strings. You need to come visit. DC Special Number 14, Wanted, the world's most dangerous villains. How about that? As I understand, the Sandman TV show on Netflix follows the original plots pretty closely of the comic. But as every character would appear, I would look it up I would pause and look up the character on the internet to see what they look like in the comic book, and usually they were a different race, a different sexuality, or a different gender, or all three. So it's up, Sandman Morpheus stays pretty much the same. I think he may be the only character that they, because he's, I guess they couldn't change him. Okay, so we're starting with Detective Comics. And my first Detective Comics is 271. It's from the 10-cent era. Oh, and She-Hulk. Yeah, that was something. Yeah, it's all the way I thought it would be. Bruce Banner's blood splashes on her into a cut that she has, and that's what causes her to become She-Hulk. The Menace of Clayface. This is this belonged to Betty, of Betty and Veronica fame, and here she is trying to do her math homework on the moon. But other than that, it presents well. .306. As you can see, Batman was always a very serious, dark, gritty comic. And some people really want to believe that. Oh, I've been watching with a little bit of humor and chagrin online. First, I have to stop because I'm going to go on a rant. I am perhaps one of the biggest Addams Family fans in the world. Not of the 1990s movies. I love the 1960s TV show, and I love the Charles Addams single-panel cartoons that later evolved into the Addams Family. In the original Charles Addams cartoons, the characters didn't have names. They were just this ghoulish family, right? So when the TV show came on, he kind of helped out and came up with some names. He wanted to call Pugsley Pubert. The ABC said no, so he came up with Pugsley. All right, the way they were portrayed on the TV show, that's what I like. I mean, they're basically, you could be the Addams Family. I mean, if you had a little bit of money and you could have a Victorian mansion, you could be them. With the exception of Thing, which is a hand that comes out of a box, you know, and you think about it, what else is in that show that's not possible to have happened in reality? Cousin It, okay, well, there could be, you could have a little person in your family that grows their hair long, but yeah, okay, I'll accept Cousin It and Thing might be pushing reality a little bit. But if you were a weird, gothic, you think completely differently than the populace about things, you could be this eccentric family. The Munsters, you could never be the Munsters because they're actually monsters, right? But the Munsters are actually more normal than the Addams Family in the way they behave, if you think about it. But Wednesday Addams was never a killer. She was not a serial killer. She was not killing people. She and her brother might like to pretend to torture their toys, but they weren't going to do that to real people. I never got the sense that Wednesday or Pugsley would hurt living creatures. But like a lot of kids, you know, growing up that love gore movies and everything, some people like gory movies. That doesn't mean they're killers. They're just dark in the way they think. But I always got, you know, Wednesday Addams is played by Lisa Loring, was just this cute, nice girl that was just, you know, in this weird family that thought differently, you know, liked to bury her dolls and stuff. Okay, so she was just an interesting girl. Well, is it Netflix? Some streaming channel, with the help of Tim Burton, have, I don't know if he's done a good movie since Ed Wood. Mars Attacks was kind of good, but Mars Attacks should have been an R-rated movie, and he should have gone all out with the ultra gore like in the original early 1960s bubblegum cards. Humor could have stayed the same, but you needed the gore. but I like the movie. The music was cool and everything, but usually Tim Burton just makes the same movie every time. But Ed Wood was great. Did I just say that? I don't know what I just said. So he's doing an Addams Family TV show, but it's called Wednesday. It focuses on Wednesday Addams, who's now, I guess, in high school, and I guess isn't getting along in public school. So they send her to some weird Harry Potter, Sabrina the Teenage Witch kind of warlock witch school. It looks like, where she's going to be around a bunch of other weird people, and she can. Yeah, I mean, it was hinted that it's pretty not more than hinted that Morticia Addams was a witch, but there's a lot of people that think they're witches in real life. So I mean, that it all could be, but anyway, she wasn't. She was never malevolent, and neither was Wednesday, to the point where there's. But anyway, the trailer for the Addams Family, the Wednesday TV show, shows her dumping a bunch of piranha into a pool with a bunch of jocks at her high school that apparently had been tormenting and bullying Pugsley. So to get revenge, she dumps piranha into the pool, and they're all scrambling to get out of the pool. And then the big funny joke in the trailer is that you see one of the guys trying to get out of the pool, and then all this bubbly blood comes up, and apparently they've bitten off his private parts. Eating his private parts, and she says, "Oh, he'll never breed," or something like that. Okay, and that's supposed to be this big funny joke. So anyway, so she goes off to this other school. But anyway, I don't approve of the whole thing of Wednesday Addams being a killer, and I think that could have been sort of introduced in the '90s movie. Really, the only good thing in the '90s, and you're gonna be pissed at me because I know a lot of people love the '90s movies, but I always just it kind of struck me the '90s movies. I mean, I watched the first one. It's like it's okay, but you know, Angelica Houston was no Carolyn Jones. Earl Julia was okay, but I preferred the insane look in John Astin's eyes. And just everything about him was so great. Ted Cassidy as Lurch was so much better than whatever guy they got. He was tall, but the guy they got to play Lurch in the '90s movies. Okay, first of all, they said, well, we're not doing an adaptation of the TV show from the 1960s. We're adapting the original cartoons. But then, why are you using the names that came from that TV show? And a lot of other things from that, like the theme song and too much that was created exclusively for the TV show they used. So you can't buy that. Anyway, here's the thing. You see a guy like Lurch, and the idea that, you know, some sinister looking giant butler that looks like Frankenstein, you would imagine they'd be playing the organ, some ominous sounding church organ, you know, echoing throughout, but instead he's playing this dainty harpsichord from the 1700s, you know, and it's very total opposite of what you'd think. Of course, in the '90s movie, he's playing the organ. It's like, so where's the joke in that? I don't quite. But Christina Ricci as Wednesday in that, well, she was fantastic. I mean, she was really good, I have to admit. But anyway, and I didn't like the fact that the Thing was running around as a severed hand. I just like the idea, okay, he's coming out of a box. Is it coming from another dimension? Is it a severed hand? Is it someone? Was it coming from hell? You don't know where is his hand. I just liked it better when it was. And by the way, the hand that came up, that was Ted Cassidy's hand, the same guy that played Lurch. Anyway, what's my whole point in this? Oh, okay. So you see Morticia and Gomez as they're taking her to this new school in the trailer, and Morticia is played by Catherine Zeta Jones or whatever, and And Gomez is played by some actor that's apparently some character actor that everybody knows, but I've never seen him before. Anyway, he's got the wide head and the big goofy grin, and his wig is sort of like the old Charles Addams cartoons. It's a little overdone. But anyway, he's an ugly guy with a big fat watermelon-shaped head, just like in the original cartoons. So everybody on Facebook's on Instagram, whatever, they're all upset that this is the most terrible casting I've ever seen. It should be more like Raul Julia. And people say, well, hey, here's a picture of the original comics that go back to the 1930s, pretty much. And this is how he looked, and that's how he looks there. And I think they've made 2 computer animated Addams Family movies in the last couple of years. I haven't seen them, but I think they have him with the traditional Gomez looking head. But anyway, so they got some guy that's ugly playing him, and it's upsetting all these people, and they're all just flipping out and arguing like the people argue about Trump and Biden. They're arguing now about Gomez and how it doesn't look right. And then finally some of them say, well, here's our picture of the original cartoons. And they say, well, that's in color. That's not the original cartoon. And so, no, this is the original cartoon. It's just been painted. And it's like, okay, so here's the black and white one. Well, you might be right. Maybe that's how it looked originally, but it should look more like Raul Julia. That's what I like. And you never can get to convince them. But it just that's how bored I am. I'm watching people argue about whether he's a good Gomez or not. Anyway, Wednesday Addams doesn't look very good. I mean, she's the main character of the show, and that's the whole thing. I guess what they're doing now is they're trying to do all these goth shows, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and they're doing a Wednesday show. And I saw in Four Color Fossils, apparently they're trying to turn Little Jinx, the Archie backup comic about this little 12-year-old blonde-haired girl that got into trouble. They've got her as a older teenager in kind of this dark Gotham, gothic environment. I don't know. So that's apparently the new thing is turning all the old innocent stuff into more contemporary dark stuff. So I don't know. What was I showing you? DC Special was apparently what I was showing. No, did I show you this one about the females taking over? Did I show you that? I might have. I was looking at Detective Comics. Yeah, I think I showed you all these. Yeah, I think so. I showed you this one, right? Anyway, whole point is nobody wants to agree on anything, To me, I think John Astin was the best on-film version of Gomez, and that's the one that Charles Addams was on. The original artist was on the set when that when some of the episodes of that TV show was being filmed, and so to me, that means that had approval and a thumbs up from Charles Addams, or maybe just because the check cleared, he was able to approve that show. So I don't know what the fucking I don't. So whatever. Addams Family is very important to me. So is the Munsters, and there's looks like a really bad Munsters movie on the way next month. I think next month from Rob Zombie. Now. Rob Zombie shares a lot of interest with me. He collects, which he has a lot more money than me, and he collects a lot of things that I love. He makes terrible movies. He's made some good music. He was a friend of an old girlfriend of mine, and she said that, you two would just be best friends if you met. I never met him. I don't think much of his movies at all. No offense if you love them, it's all right. But I know what he's going to do. It's an origin story of how Herman Munster was created, which I don't need to see. That's what he did with Halloween. He had to go back and show why is Michael Myers the way he is. They show him in elementary or middle school being picked on or whatever. It's like, you don't want to explain because he's this. You're supposed to really think he's the boogeyman, that he's an unstoppable force. You're not supposed to think. Don't show the origin. You didn't need to show the origin of Darth Vader either. I didn't need to see him as a little kid. It was perfectly okay the way it was. I don't need to see the backstory of Boba Fett or any. It's like, don't worry about it. It's like, present it. This is the way it is, and let's move forward. And leave it up to the readers or the viewers' imaginations. But okay, so he's going to show Lily Munster and meeting Herman Munster and all of that, and then Eddie Munster will not be a factor in this movie, or Marilyn Munster whenever she comes along being adopted or whatever. That's not. Was she adopted or was she somehow I'm trying to remember her family. Here's what he's going to do. I guarantee he's going to do this, and it's going to piss you off so much. And I could be wrong. In that terrible trailer that came on, that was released about a month or so ago, you see this hipster werewolf, I guess trying to act like Wolfman Jack. You know what they're going to do. It's gonna be hinted at real strongly, or you're gonna be beaten over the head with it, that Wolfman werewolf guy is really Eddie Munster's father. Because that's the thing. Every kid that ever watched the Munsters talked about on the playground with the other kids. It's like, you got a Frankenstein and you got a vampire girl. Why do they have a werewolf child? And then it's like, well, maybe there's someone else. But there was never a Wolfman character in the Munsters. There was a creature from the Black Lagoon, Uncle Gilbert, and everything. But now he's introducing a Wolfman character. That's what they're gonna do, and that's, to me, so inappropriate and so disrespectful to the source material that you supposedly love. And I could be wrong, that you being Rob Zombie, not you, in viewerland. But Rob Zombie, he's going to fuck up everything. It's getting dark outside. I guess it's going to rain. Here's Detective Comics 318. I would do if it were me, if I ran Warner Brothers, the next Batman movie would look like this. I'd go back and people, it kind of looks like Dr. Doom. I would make something so fucked up because everybody wants this dark shit. I'm so sick of this dark, every fucking movie. You got to make Batman killing people, and you got to make him so dark and sinister with the dark painted around his eyes and shit. I would do this, a throwback right to the 50s or early 60s of Batman and Robin, and I would give zero fucks. And some people would get it. Seriously, it would look just like, it would be more serious than the Adam West, Burt Ward, but it would be like this. That's got a tear. You can barely see it, but, well, what do you mean? Of course you can see it right there. Big chunk gone. But it presents well. Okay, whatever. Detective Comics number, who the fuck knows? Again, see, they've got the number in black ink on a purple cover. The purple cover is beautiful, but once you get to be 57 or older, you can't read the number. Here, I'm going to give a stab at it. it's 3 something. 3, possibly 334. This one was 326. Ooh, there's thunder. You hear that thunder? There wasn't supposed to be any. Yes, there was too. It was supposed to happen. Oh, wow, we're going to have some thunder and lightning during today's show. And we're on a porch, so we're going to be seeing the lightning and everything. Here's 330, The Fallen Idol of Gotham City. Oof. 357. Well, yeah, this one's not very valuable. I bought this at Lone Star Comics. Yeah, this is the big one. This is the first appearance of Batgirl. This is not a reprint. I don't think I paid that much for it because I bought it and I didn't ever pay huge sums. The biggest flaw is some thumbprint here. Some fly creature touched it and the ink came off on their finger. Yes, indeed. Batgirl was created for the TV show, and then they put her in the comic. There was a Batgirl and a Batwoman in the 50s, but that was a different character with a brighter colored costume, and she was younger too. This is they're trying to get a little bit darker to try to break free from the then failing TV series, because by this point the TV show wasn't doing as well. It did something that no one had ever tried on television, just like adapting a comic book literally and just not giving a fuck about being silly and just basically being a comedy that ostensibly took itself seriously just because of the very earnest acting of Adam West and Burt Ward and everybody. They didn't have a laugh track. They even thought about having a laugh track. Not having that laugh track is what was brilliant about it, because it was like, what the fuck is this? And people loved it. But then every episode, as they moved forward over the next couple of years, 2-3 years, started to be exactly alike in format. You know, it's like, so something happens. They call a commissioner. Commissioner calls Batman. He goes down the pole, the opening credits. Then they come down to the bottom of the pole. They jump in the Batmobile. The structure of every episode was the same. Every beat, and except it's a different villain, you know, and a different trap they're put in at the end of the first episode, which I think was on, you might correct me because I was born in 1965, so I don't have memories of Batman in its first airing. But I believe the part 1 was on Wednesday and part 2 was on Thursday night, which is confuses kids of today, and they see it and it says, because, you know, growing up, for me, it was airing Monday through Friday, you know, on local independent channels that would air it in syndication. Then they would say, tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, and you would think, well, this was a network show. Why would they say tune in tomorrow? This is obviously from the original airing, this writing on the screen, and it's because it was a show that came on 2 nights a week. It was really an hour TV show. It was an hour, Batman was an hour show every week. Well, I'm getting a call from Spam Risk in Caldwell, Texas. He's a good friend of mine, Spam Risk. I've known him since college. Spam Risk. He was named after the wonderful canned meat. And Risk, his grandparents invented the game Risk. That was actually, I loved Risk more. I can't imagine these people that play Dungeons and Dragons could possibly love that game more than I loved the game Risk. And Booby Trap. You ever play Booby Trap? That's a fun game. So, What the fuck am I even talking about? I was talking about Batman. Oh yeah. Well, Batman was an hour-long show. Yeah, they just had it half on one night, half on the other, and so they made it like a movie serial. Tune in tomorrow, and movie serial would have been tune in next week, or come back to this theater next week, that kind of thing. But the reason they did that, oh yeah, this is a weird cover because the guy that's in the building shooting down from Joker's eye, it's like how does he even fit in that building? But it's a beautiful cover, purple and everything. Okay, Hugh Hefner had these parties at the Playboy Mansion, and Hugh Hefner was a comic nerd. He grew up in the 30s and loved the old Flash Gordon comic strip by Alex Raymond and all the art. He loved that. And so that's why in Playboy, he hired the best artists from the comic book field. He would get Jack Cole and Will Elder and hire Harvey Kurtzman. He'd hire the very best to do the cartoons and comic strips in the back of Playboy. He appreciated comic art. And it might have been Alex Raymond's, all that bondage and scantily clad women in the Flash Gordon comic strip that turned him into that crazy horn dog. I've heard also he was like a CIA kind of, but you can hear all these conspiracy theories, to try to bring our culture down. But anyway, point is, at some of his parties, in the 60s, he would run these Batman movies and some other movie serials at his parties, playing in the background on a projector, and people would laugh at him. And one of the producers, maybe William Dozier, I don't know, was at one of these parties at the Playboy Mansion and saw everybody just loving this old Batman serial with Lewis Wilson or whatever from the 40s. And so he thought, maybe I could make a TV show with that. So that's probably why he decided to do that two-part episode a week, saying, tune in, stay tuned, come back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, because, there's always that teaser at the end of every episode of a serial telling you to come back to the theater next week. So that was a little bit more information than you probably need to know. The night Batman destroyed Gotham City. It seems like every time, every cover, he's either destroying Gotham City or Gotham City's destroying him. Listen to that thunder. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we're getting into the time period in the late 60s where the heroes were not treated as very respectfully on the covers of the comics. 330. The guy that got it the worst was the Flash. He was dead on every fucking cover of the comic, it seems like. He was always getting... Here's another copy of that same issue. How about that? Okay. Here's Detective 369. At least it's not super hot on the porch today here on our tiki bar. 371. My wife's starting to feel a little bit better. She's been sick for like 3 weeks. And she hasn't been down from the penthouse, the attic, where we have our master bedrooms, in days. So I'll go up there and, we'll watch 3-4 episodes of Sandman, and it'll just be so depressing seeing all this. I mean, it's just that they beat you over the head with their propaganda. It really could be. Really. I could see it. If they just keep all the casting to look like the comic, which was diverse, but they had to make it more diverse. And had to make every single fucking character, with the exception of, let's say, everybody's gay in the show. Every single character, except and if they aren't, they're killers, or like horrible people. Those are the only ones that aren't. Okay, 380. Maybe that's the way the comic book was. I don't think so. 387. Well, Robin, ready for another 30 years? You bet, and so are we. Okay, so Batman is celebrating his 30th anniversary. How about that? Detective 392. A Neil Adams cover. Ooh, this is a great one. 403. So I'm missing a lot of them. This is just what I was able to collect over the years. What can I tell you? $422. And these, this is the last gasp for me of the Silver Age. 52 big pages for only 25 cents. And so they'd have a new story, and then in the back, it would be a detective classic. But in this case, it's not even a superhero story. It's just a detective story, which I guess is what this comic originally was just a detective comic. But it kind of turned into exclusively superhero comic. Detective 424. Okay. So here's Doctor Strange 174. Before this, the numbering, it was Strange Tales, and then Strange Tales converted into Strange Tales had Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was a Man from U.N.C.L.E., James Bond's follow-up to Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, and it had Doctor Strange in the back. He got his own comic, and then Nick Fury got his started over with issue 1 of a different title, because Marvel was kept to only publishing a certain number of titles per month. Some agreement they had with their publisher, and then around in '68, I think, or somewhere in there, that went away, and then they were able to publish more titles, so they didn't have to cram the Hulk and the Submariner into one comic, and Captain America and Iron Man into another comic. A lot of their main heroes only got to have half a comic, and so they had more breathing room. Here's 179, guest starring Spider-Man. Here's 181. That last Doctor Strange movie was very, very weak, but there was a great scene in it. I wish and it was obviously something Sam Raimi did but for the most part, I think Sam Raimi's control was taken away from him with that movie. And to me, well, like in the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, the spectacular scenes are, when the music swells and he's changing into Superman, or when he goes up and catches the helicopter that's falling from the roof of the Daily Planet with Lois Lane hanging out of it. But there's a scene. Okay, so they're cuckolding, or however you pronounce that stupid word. They're making Doctor Strange look bad. He's at a wedding for his old girlfriend from the first movie, who's getting married to someone, because Doctor Strange has been gone for 5 years because of Thanos, and she's found someone else, thought he's dead, went out and married, is getting married to someone else, so he goes to this wedding. Anyway, so it's a scene there just designed to do further insult to Doctor Strange because he's a male, and That's not good to be a male in our society. But anyway, there's a scene. He's on a balcony, and it's this giant monster. That was actually kind of cool. There was some giant monster attacking and throwing cars around. And he just, in the way that he transforms, and his cape comes out of nowhere and flies to him, and he just transforms into Doctor Strange and flies down there. I thought, that's a great scene. Why couldn't the whole fucking movie be like that? It's just that one scene was so great. And sometimes you see one scene, and it's like the whole movie could have been like that. The Lone Ranger, the last 30 minutes, if the whole movie had been like that, it would be a modern classic. I'm serious. It would be looked upon. You got to see that Lone Ranger movie. I know it's the one that had, what's his fucking name? Johnny Depp playing Tonto. I know you would never even think of watching that movie. But if you watch it, just watch the end, a scene aboard a train, and think, if the whole movie had been like this, the whole movie hadn't emasculated the Lone Ranger, if it had just been this, the William Tell overture swells up, and it's, for a good chunk, maybe 20 minutes, it's great. Oh, well. Good stuff coming up. It's good that you've, and it's raining out there, ladies and gentlemen. My Greatest Adventure, number 82. Offhand, I don't recall the first issue. I'm sure someone will tell me down below where the Dune Patrol appeared. But I was trying to get as many Dune Patrol comics as I could. And the late 80s, when I was buying these, this was... I just couldn't believe how great this comic was. Dune Patrol 84. This was... Now, there's a Dune Patrol TV show. We're behind on it. Possibly a whole season or two. Because, like everything else, they had... I don't know. It seems like we were... We had our friend Gerald invited over and say, hey, we're watching this show. You want to watch this? It's really pretty cool. And we put it on, and it's like some deformed girl, monkey girl, was in a cage at a circus, and you see these two strong men fucking each other up the ass, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like, sorry, Gerald doesn't... It's like, I'm sorry, seriously, the show isn't always like this. But, that's how they have to do it, as our society disintegrates and swirls down the drain, and as Marxism takes over, they want to just, okay, this is a show based on a comic aimed at kids, and you got to put all this fucked up shit into it. But, so we got to get back to watching that. We just have so much stuff going on. We're behind on that, and then there's another kid comic that's been turned into an R-rated violence and sex fest called Titans, based on Teen Titans. But, this comic was fantastic. And this character, Negative Man, is now gay because I think the actor playing him is gay. I don't know if he was gay in that art school comic in the 80s or 90s. But anyway. And then Robot Man is played by Brandon Fraser, and for some reason they don't let his mouth ever move, which struck me as weird. Wait a second, I'm not showing you I'm in the right order. I'm out of order. Shit. 86, 87. Yeah, I got distracted. Okay, I didn't show you this one. This character appears briefly in that TV series, 89. This is number 89. It's the Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Menace. 7, 89, 90. Anyway, Dune Patrol is as good as anything Marvel was doing at the time. I had a friend at the time that I was buying these, and he was buying the art school ones, the new Dune Patrol comics, and I was telling him, no, buy these older ones because they're so much better. And he didn't listen to me. He liked the other stuff. Okay, so here's 91. Okay, looks like I'm missing 92 and 93. Here's 94. So if you have 92 or 93, I'd be, and you have extra copies, I wouldn't be opposed to trades, or if you're willing to sell them. 95. Shit. 96. Can you hear that rain? '97. Look at the old comics. Fills me with a great sense of melancholy. And why do they fill me with sadness? Because this is a time period that I would hope would return. But it's a time of innocence. Look, new, meet Beast Boy. The wildest, weirdest teen tornado in comics history. See him try to blast his way onto the team. Because you realize that this is the last gasp of a period in American culture when just things are so fucked up now. I mean, really, being able to, these slot cars to me were so much more fun than, I don't know. Were they more fun than kids have with video games now? I don't know. To me, you're actually touching something other than buttons or a joystick, and it's hard for me to say that with any authority. What? Now kids are, they give these kids, there's free video games online, you know, like, what are they, Roblox, Fortnite, they're free. But then you want to do cool things or have special weapons or accoutrements or have money to buy things in the virtual universe within those video games. Then you got to get a credit card and you got to spend real money to buy things that do not exist. You have to take real money and buy pixels that don't exist in this virtual world of this video game. So that's how they get you. It's like drug dealers. They give it to you free, but then to get more cool stuff and keep up with your friends, you've got to spend money. These comic books, you put down your 12 cents and you got your entertainment, and there was nothing else you needed to have. But even then, the wheels were moving, and the globalists were moving us into wars that were unnecessary, and they had designs on us. And now, I've got to put a place saver in here. now we're up shit creek, basically. Okay, so we're in the go-go checker still. Beast Boy. $109. Okay. Oh, good. All right. I'll use my title card as a place saver here. All right, well, here's, this isn't a date stamp. This was probably written on it by a fan at some point. It says February 1967, Dune Patrol. Other than that, it's a good copy. There's pictures of all the Aurora models you could get. I don't think kids build models anymore. Again, now they want us to eat bugs, and they want us to live in tiny little cubes, all for because of climate change. That's the Fright Factory and Creepy Crawlers. You could make these things to improve your appearance. I assume this grease pencil meant this was sold for 5 cents at a garage sale at some point. Here's Genius Turns Caveman. The whole world quakes before Kor the Conqueror. Of this Tarzan model kit, and of course, and while it was being packed, the knife that's stuck in the lion broke off when my mother-in-law was packing it, and I found the knife in the shag carpet on the floor, and I glued it back in, and then it was packed, and then the knife was broken off again, and now I can't find the knife. So the knife is no longer in the lion. And any model kit I had where someone is smoking a cigarette, the cigarette has been broken off. Vampira, I had a Vampira model kit, and she has this long cigarette holder, and it's broken off, and it's like I'm going to have to find something to simulate what she had in her fingers. Oh well. First world problems, right? Some people are worried about where their next meal is coming from. I'm worried about fake cigarettes in the yeah, right. There's Maxwell Smart. Aurora also did slot cars called Model Motoring. Watch Get Smart every Saturday night on NBC TV, 7:30 Central Time. How about that? Okay, 118. See, we're kind of moving into a different time period. You can kind of tell how things are changing and becoming more psychedelic. And of course, Dune Patrol, at the end, they all die. And then they come back about, 7 years later in Showcase with the new Dune Patrol. There's Robot Man is still there, but that is, and that's the way it is. Okay, here's Falling in Love, number 77. How about that? All right. Fantastic Four, number 15. This is fantastic. That was stupid. I mean, it's one of the greatest comics ever. I mean, I wish I had more of and more earlier issues, but you know, this is issue 22. Fantastic Four is fantastic. Boy, that Gratu sure is eloquent. Here's Fantastic Four 28. It's interesting that usually they don't care. They just cut it straight across and send the title, the logo Fantastic Four, back to get credit for an unsold copy. But here they actually cut around that. So that's interesting. This is where X-Men appear in Fantastic Four on issue 28. Here's 29. It started on Yancey Street. The Mad Menace of the Macabre Mole Man, number 31. I've got another copy. This issue. You seem to find it more than other. It seems like I run across this one more than. And here's a third copy I've got. Over the years, I've just stumbled on this a lot. Here's Fantastic Four 32. And another copy of 32. You know, I went to they built it as a comic book convention. It was sponsored by the Arlington Public Library in Arlington, Texas. It was at the University of Texas at Arlington. It was going to be this big comic convention, so I go there. I mean, UTA, University of Texas, Arlington, was basically walking distance from where I live. So I went up there, and lots of idiots dressed as anime characters, and lots of the selling little accoutrements and things, but I didn't see any comic books. I finally found a guy kind of in the back. I guess he had about 4 short boxes of comics. And I said, you know, you're the only guy here that has comics at this comic convention. And he said, yeah. Anyway, it was either this one. No, wait a second. I'll know which one it is. It was this one I bought from him. Just because I wanted to have something. I went to the comic convention. I'm going to come out with no and I didn't know I already had this. But it turns out it's got a little... It's got a little damage there at the bottom. But anyway, whatever. Here's a great... one of those photo covers that Jack Kirby liked to do. He liked to use photographs for the background. It was an experiment he started doing there. Sometimes he'd have whole pages inside the comic that were photo collages and stuff. This is a great time period right in here. When the corner box still looked like this, and because later the corner box, the number would be here. Right before that happened was a great time period. This is 35. Yeah, everything was hitting on all cylinders. There was great writing, great stories. All these characters are being created. Like every issue, you're meeting new characters. This was the heart and soul of the Marvel. This was the best comic they had. followed by Spider-Man. Fantastic Four was the most important comic. It's where all of it started. People that watch the movies think Iron Man. Everything started with Iron Man because that's just how it went in the movie versions. And I would assume, think Fantastic Four is one of the weaker Marvel creations just because of how it was depicted in the movies, the Fantastic Four. When in reality, it was the best thing in the world. Okay, here's another copy of that issue. Okay. And so then the Merry Marvel Marching Society starts. The thing wants you. Behold a distant star. I believe this was adapted it was animated twice, I think in the 67 Hanna-Barbera series and then in the 90s series. There's various stories that were adapted twice. The 90s series had a really crummy first season, and the second season they changed whoever was doing it, and it was a very, very close to the comic book in this time period. They did a really good job, whoever's doing that. 39. I bought this at Lone Star Comics, and so therefore, if you look next to the 9 and the 39, they have in pencil F, meaning it's a fine copy. For those of you that are new comic collectors and only know CGC the numbering, 9.8, 4.0 used to be, there was poor, good, fine, mint, and then there were shades of it, very good plus, or the numbering thing is all new to me, and I'm not very trained in that. Nor do I really want to be. I'm not interested in CGC. I've developed a reputation as the curmudgeon. Whenever anyone shows a slabbed comic, they'll say, "Oh, Gratu will hate this, but here's a slabbed," and it's like, it's all right. But it's being preserved for future generations, and it just I don't know. It's like, here's a copy of a TV show, but I can never watch it. It's sealed. Here's a book that I can never open. It's like, here's a beautiful steak, but you can never eat it. It's encased in glass. Oh, well, 42. Oh, this is when Stan Lee decided we'll cash in on the pop art craze. We'll be Marvel Pop Art Productions. Indeed. Okay, so that's 43. Oh, another. What does that fucking say? It's got another pencil mark on it. Oh, G means good. This was considered good. I think it's... Yeah. I guess they're going by the spine ticks. No one used that term spine tick in the 70s when I was buying these. But yeah, normal wear and tear from being read by children, which is what comic books were made for. That annoys people when they're reminded that comic books were meant for children. Some people don't want to accept it. Oh well. Okay. I guess we need to get another box that starts with the end of my Fantastic Four collection, and then what's after F in the alphabet in comic book world. F. What would you have after F? Oh, this is gonna. Hold on a second. Let me just move this box, and I'll come back and get you guys. Oh. All right. Well, we'll go upstairs and get another box, right? In the meantime, perhaps you'd like to see the rain. Maybe you're envious if you're having a drought where you live. This is where I've been broadcasting from. This is my little tiki lounge that I've created. Exciting, huh? All right, we're off to get another box. We're listening to The Real Don Steele from Thursday, the 4th of July, 1968. I normally have that music turned up louder, but it will immediately get copyright claims or whatever. And basically what that'll mean is that usually it just means that you won't be able to ever make money from the video if you ever get enough subscribers. And sometimes, you know, if it's like Beatles music or playing or something, you won't even be able to upload the music at all. So, I mean, the episode won't even upload. You'll be able to see it, but no one else will. So, some music is more copyrighted than others. It just depends on, you know. So you've got to be careful. So when I play that 1950s roller rink music or that organ music from YouTube, it doesn't. Usually, it doesn't have a problem. Okay. Okay, I see. You ever built this model kit? Okay, this box is labeled Fantastic Four to Hawkman. So that's what we'll be seeing here with this box. Oh, let me show you this. Probably about 20 years ago, I started a painting and I found it. I never finished it, but it's a painting of Batman in bondage with Vampirella, Wonder Woman, Batgirl, and a nude Minnie Mouse. I don't know. I guess I should put this up somewhere. Damn it. Okay. Tomorrow on Right Side Broadcasting, they're supposed to have, which you can watch on the Rumble app. They're going to have some symposium or something. I'm looking forward to that. With I think Mike Lindell is sponsoring. I think some movie about things you're not supposed to talk about on YouTube, but it should be interesting. Okay. All right, here's a date stamp. Fantastic Four 44, August 16th date stamp. Here's 45. And then Fantastic Four 49. Now if you look between the 4 and 9, they wrote in pencil, very good. It's a very good copy. According to whoever graded this back in the late 70s, probably early 80s is when I bought this at Lone Star Comics. I don't remember what I paid for it. It wasn't a huge amount. I mean, I doubt it would have even been more than $20. I seems like I would have remembered if I paid that much for a comic. But now this is a very astronomically high-priced book. Part of the middle part of the Galactus trilogy. I don't have the other two parts, except in reprint form. Here's Fantastic Four 51. This is a well-loved story. I think this might be Stan Lee's favorite story, from what I read somewhere. I believe so. This is introducing the sensational Black Panther. So this is a key issue. This is 53. This floating head cover is has even been turned into a poster or a wooden wall plaque that you can buy at arts and crafts stores. It's 54. And it looks like I bought it 2 times. $55. They wrote the condition there next to 55. I can't make it out. $56. This one I know was adapted into animated form in 1967 for the Hanna-Barbera Saturday morning cartoon Claw. 57. Yeah, looks like the rain's stopping. Holy shit. Hold on. I'll use this. This will make it easier. $57. Enter Dr. Doom. $58. The dismal dregs of defeat. $59. The Inhumans break free. This is a beautiful cover. The reason I was just saying holy shit a minute ago is realizing how many copies I have of 59. This is another one that must just appear a lot because I've wound up getting it 3 times, not remembering I already owned it, which is why it's important to go through your comics from time to time to remember. Of course, normal people have an app on their phone, and it lets them enter in everything that's in their collection, so they just open up their phone and they can see, but I'm not normal. All right, 61. Where stalks the Sandman? 62. They've written very good next to the 2 and 62 there. 63. Drew spends a lot of time sleeping on that bed up on the 3rd floor. She's not. I'm wondering if she's getting depressed because I've been spending so much time up in the attic with my wife because she's been sick, and I think the dog's starting to feel ignored. I feel bad about that. We tried to let Drew, our dog, up into the attic, and she's started having accidents all over the place. And it's like, my wife is saying, she betrayed me. It's like, no, she didn't mean to. This has got a subscription increase. Either that or some idiot kid just folded it to put it in their pocket or something. 64, The Sentry Sinister. 65. This could be the first appearance of Ronan that matters to normal people because he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie. 66. Always loved this cover. Now we're moving into Warlock territory. Here's 68. Two copies of it. 69 is the first time I was first exposed to Silver Age Fantastic Four through Marvel Treasury Edition number 2, the big tabloid size square bound book, Treasury Edition. But then I got Marvel's Greatest Comics. The first issue of Marvel's Greatest Comics I got around 73, 74, reprinted this issue. So this is one of the first Fantastic Four stories I read, and it's the reprint of this. And then I later got the original version that you see there. Isn't that fascinating? I like to tell stories about comics because that's interesting to me. You know, I don't like to just say, I got this, it's a 9.8 from mycomicshop.com, and I got this, you know, it's like, well, that's great, but anyone can get that from mycomicshop.com. Show me something that you've had since your childhood, and I haven't had this since my childhood. I probably was 75. You know, I was probably maybe 15 when I got a lot of these. I guess I was still a kid. Isn't that great? Look at how does he get that effect? It's so great. The background almost looks like a photograph. Back behind him where you can see the New York skyline, but it's just the way it's the gray tone. It's not one of those collage photographs that Kirby did. It's just the coloring is so beautiful on this cover. Damn, that's great. That's 70. One Fall of the Mighty. 71. Sizzling big action issue. I believe these are just 4 panels from inside the comic, and it seems like he wasn't able to finish a cover for this issue. I think that's the story behind that. 72. We're starting to get into the time period where Jack Kirby is not happy, if he ever was happy. He's not creating new characters at this point. He's biding his time. He is drawing, I think he had asked for a raise, and he was denied a raise from Stan Lee. And that pissed him off, because he looked at Stan Lee as this little kid that had always worked in the Marvel offices. And now Stan Lee had gotten into a position of power, and he still looked at him as this 18-year-old kid that he remembered from, the war years. And he just did not like that he wasn't given a raise. And Stan, I think, said, well, why don't you just draw bigger panels and not draw as much on each page? And then, it'll be kind of like you're getting a raise because you won't be drawing as much. And I think that's why around in this time period, there's a lot more full-page panels or just a couple of panels a page. It's not that the art isn't beautiful, but towards the end of the 60s, it's not quite as maybe it's not quite that period yet. Let me see. Yeah, we're getting towards the end, right before he left and went to D.C. That's what he ultimately did. When he had new ideas for characters, he just saved them. He didn't put them into the pages of Fantastic Four. He saved them and sat on them for when he would ultimately make his move to the other company. Where he wasn't treated very well there either, honestly. And then he wound up coming back to Marvel. This is a great cover. I always thought his nose was a little wonky. It's like a squashed boxer's nose. It's just a little too wide there. But who am I to question? So, there's another copy. Here's 80. '81. Why am I missing 82? I have to look up 82 and see what's on the cover of that. It looks like I need a copy of 82. That's 83. Here's 84. Here's 85. '87. '88. '89. '90. Oh, right above the 90. There's a G, which means it's good. 91. I always thought that this little thing, they're on another planet where they're all gangsters. It struck me like he'd seen that Star Trek episode where they're on that planet where they one of the previous starships. The captain had accidentally left some book on Chicago in the 30s, and it was these aliens on this planet were very imitative, and they found it, and they basically turned it into their Bible, and everyone on the planet became a gangster with Tommy guns or a gun mall, and they Kirk and the Kirk and gang wind up there and have to act like gangsters to try to straighten out the planet. This is from the Aldine Branch Library, 11331 Airline Drive, Houston, Texas. This was a copy that was in a public library. Here's 93. Little stamps like that can tell you a lot about the history of your copy. 93. 94. This has got to be like right at the very end of his stint at Marvel. Let's see how many more issues does he go. 94. Oh, there's more. '95. Another copy of 95. 96. Yeah, if you've got any missing issues that I don't have, and you've got multiple copies of them, or maybe I've got multiple copies of an issue you don't have, let me know. We can swap. And 97. This is, a lot of people consider this to be one of the best covers. They wrote very good condition there. Now that's something my comic shop, Lone Star Comics, did back decades ago. They don't do that anymore. So if you order a copy of a comic book from mycomicshop.com, you're not going to get it with pencil writing on it. It's just the system they had back then. And I talked to someone that worked for Lone Star Comics. He said he tried to convince the owner that was not a smart way to do things, and he finally buckled in, and they stopped doing that. Okay. Wait a second. Okay, so 100 might have been Kirby's last. No. 101 might be Kirby's last. Because this is clearly not Kirby. We're now officially in the post-Kirby era. Although, that's 106. 108. It's still wonderful. It's just not Kirby anymore. 111. Here's 111, another copy of 111 with a star. The star means that this was purchased at a armed services, at a base exchange, a PX. Someone bought it at on an army base, or Navy, Air Force, whatever the hell. 115. Okay. This, Eric Breen helped me get this from the store he worked at. I got it at a discount. It was not 140. It was less than that. I had been wanting this for years, and I mentioned it, and they had one. It's Fantastic Four Annual Number 1 from 1963. This came out when John F. Kennedy was still president. It's Fantastic. Now this is the back cover of one of those Fantastic Four guides that indexes. I'll show you. You know, the official Marvel index to the Fantastic Four, right? But I put it in the bag backwards because on the back cover they have the original cover the way it was done originally by Kirby, and I guess they thought it was not striking enough, so they had him redo it, and it became this. And so, you know, which one do you think's better? But I like to put this in there next to it just for comparison's sake. Here's Fantastic Four Annual number 2 from 1964. They're playing one of my favorite songs in the other room. Del Shannon's Runaway. Fantastic Four Annual this is from the Bill Nobley collection. Number 2, 1964. Beatles were first hitting the charts when this comic was on the rack. That's number 2. Fantastic Four Annual number 3 from 1965. Look at all these characters. Now on the back, I try to do this thing. On Captain Strangelife's old shows, he used to teach this trick where he would take the tape and he would fold it over at the top. So you just grab it like this and pull it down like that, and it frees it up. And then you pull it down like that, and it frees it up. And then you can pull the comic out without getting tape damage, and then you can reseal it. And so I tried doing that on some of my comics, but it was hard. It was a hard trick to master. And then, but now he doesn't do it that way. Now he uses only these Mylight 2 that are these thicker bags. They're not really, they almost aren't even bags anymore because they're thicker Mylar. And then what he does is he cuts the corners and then tucks it in and doesn't even use tape. So he's improved his technique, but that's something I'll eventually do sometime, maybe, if I make it that long. Fantastic Four Special, number 4. It's the Sensation. This is in bad shape. You can just feel how crummy it is. It's a Sensation of the Century. The original Human Torch actually returns from the past to battle Johnny Storm. Plus bonus, you'll finally see the origin of the Human Torch as created in 1939. And then they reprint the Hulk versus the Thing from Fantastic Fours 25 and 26. So this is a pretty damn cool issue. And then here's all new, not a single reprint, number 5, Fantastic Four Annual, or King Size Special, same thing. Starting to get hungry. Okay. Here's King Size Special number 7. Oh, this was the first one I got of all these annual. This is one of the when Lone Star Comics first opened in 1977. This is one of the first Silver Age comics I got. That's really great. Number 8. Number 9,